So what is RYT? Guess what? My friend trusts me enough to borrow me his account.
And reunite with his brother. Kato becomes furious with the death of his friend and charges at the alien, but gets destroyed very quickly by its swords. Seeing his friend wounded to the point of near death, Kei gathers his last resolve against the monster. He charges towards the alien, but realizes very soon that he can't beat it in close combat. He sees the gun across the room and jumps towards it while the alien attacks. He takes the gun and fires it at the Buddha, but it blocks the attack with his swords. The alien drops a small statue on the floor and it rapidly grows into a giant, breaking through the ceiling of the building. It launches its fist at Kei, which destroys most of the roof in one blow. In the face of such powerful enemy, Kei is unsure of what to do next. Kato, with his last remaining breath, throws the gun at Kei,
70 iron.
which he catches and shoots at the Buddha's arm, destroying it while running closer to its head. The alien opens its mouth and swallows Kei, but he manages to fire shots in the giant's mouth and it screams in pain while it's blown up from the ocean. He runs back to his friend, holds his hand while telling him not to die. Kei begins to teleport back to the room while Kato remains motionless. Kei sees the remaining survivors but fails to see his friend. Kato's image appears on the screen, verifying his death. Kei tells Gus to bring Kato back, but he only earned 20 points in total. He cries while believing that there is no way he can last until then. Feeling hopeless and helpless, Kei is unable to function in his normal life. He becomes depressed while walking in the subway station with his girlfriend. He jumps down to the train tracks and tries to commit suicide, but the girl pulls him up, saying that she loves him and pleading for him not to die. With the realization that there are people who loves him and cares for him, Kei resolves to fight with his teammates to revive all his fallen friends. So what do you guys think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my video, please what do you guys think?
Exclusive track slimming technology. Presents fat burning technique. Flat tummy. Trim waistline.
Hello everyone, this is Mr. Brain Junkie here, and today we'll be talking about a science fiction film called Mafia: The Game of Survival. Be ready for some spoilers ahead.
I'm pretty sure it's okay.
Sometime in the near future, a popular game show known as Mafia has taken the attention of the entire world, but no one knows who the real creator is. The game always starts with 11 people, where 9 are civilians and 2 are mafias. The civilians need to find out the identities of the mafias to win the game by voting the suspects out, but the oppositions can kill a person every night. Whichever side that's victorious will take home $1 billion, but the people who are voted out will die a horrible death. After assigning everyone their roles, the creator tells the people to introduce themselves, starting with an old man whose name is Luca. It's quickly revealed that he is actually a very wealthy businessman who gambles everything, including his own life, as he has become tired of the routines of living. The only family that he has are his children, who are waiting to take all his money like vultures. What they don't realize is that Luca has already signed away his wealth, and the kids will never get a single penny after his death. But the old man assures everyone that he's not a mafia. The next player is a man called Eli, and he claims that he has nothing to lose, as he was diagnosed with cancer that will end his life in 3 months. He decided to enter this game to earn money for his family before death, but his wife only wants him to be with her in the remaining days, instead of dying in front of the world. Very soon, the announcer begins introducing the 3rd and 4th contestants, and tells the players that these 2 are actually playing for something else. It turns out that these people are dangerous criminals who decided to play this game to win back their freedoms. The younger man called Ivan assures everyone that he's falsely convicted, but this only causes the other criminal called Mr. Butcher to laugh at his face. The others begin introducing themselves as well, and just like the previous contestants, they all claim to be nothing more than innocent civilians. When everyone finishes talking, the announcer begins to count down immediately, as the players must now vote for who they think is the real mafia. This causes arguments between the contestants as they exchange insults towards each other, but a woman called Mary tells everyone to stop wasting time. Since nobody has any clue as to who the killers are, the girl decides to go by her first impressions and accuses a man whose name is Hero. Another man called Peter agrees immediately and tells everyone to vote right away, but this is quickly stopped by Mr. Butcher, who recognizes Mary from a TV show. He also remembers that Peter was infamous for trying to pursue the woman as her #1 fan, making them likely to be accomplices. It's quickly revealed that Mary was actually a popular dancer, but her career was destroyed by an accident that left her unable to walk anymore. Her fame quickly disappeared after losing the ability to dance, and she was not able to obtain the prosthetics, which are too expensive to buy. This gave her no other choice but to enter the mafia game, as it was the only way for her to get back her life. Realizing that their cover is blown, Peter admits that this is true, but assures the players that they're not working together as mafias. The people find this hard to believe as they begin voting for the woman altogether, causing Mary to blame Peter for everything that's happening as she falls into tears. The man tries to save the girl by telling the people that he's the mafia, but this fails to convince the others as Mary is quickly voted out. The woman is forced to reveal her true identity by raising her hand, and the people are shocked to see that she's actually a civilian after all. Suddenly, the woman's chair begins to move as it brings her closer to the black sphere, and eventually consuming her body altogether, which causes her to fall unconscious. Mary is quickly brought into a place that's filled by rings and thunderclouds, where the lightning descends furiously from the sky. The enemy begins chasing the woman as she runs desperately across the forest and trying to take away her life in the process. Mary is forced onto a cliff while the lightning approaches closer, giving her no other choice but to jump off as the energy kills her in the end. Her body is turned altogether, which causes her to fall unconscious. Mary is quickly brought into a place that's filled by rings and thunderclouds, where the lightning descends furiously from the sky. The energy begins chasing the woman as she runs desperately across the forest and trying to take away her life in the process. Mary is forced onto a cliff while the lightning approaches closer, giving her no other choice but to jump off as the energy kills her in the end. Her body is turned into dust inside the black sphere as the empty chair is pulled back into the platform, making the players realize that this can eventually be their fate as well. The creator is not impressed by the players' choices as the night begins to fall upon the city, which allows the mafias to kill a civilian without the others knowing. When the lights appear inside the building once again, the mafias have already chosen someone to be killed, and it's quickly revealed that the next victim is Mr. Butcher. This causes the man to burst out in anger as he shouts furiously at the other players, but Peter seems to be happy with the result as he blames the criminal for Mary's death. Very soon, the man is taken into the black sphere as well, and Mr. Butcher is brought inside a large building all by himself, where numerous people are cheering on the balconies. The criminal quickly realizes that he's in danger when the two approaching men begins attacking him by using their weapons and kicking him towards the ground. Luckily, Mr. Butcher is able to retaliate as he begins fighting dirty and manages to kill one of his opponents. However, the enemies quickly regenerates and continues fighting back, no matter how many times the man kills them and turns them into dust. After many rounds of battle, the criminal is eventually able to dispose the opponents permanently as he walks furiously towards the crowds in victory. The prisoners all cheer at the man's bravery as Mr. Butcher thinks that he has won, but this was all part of the creator's plan. The man walks backwards and trips onto the ground, causing him to smash into the rocks, which ends up killing him like a fool in front of everyone. They return back to the game once again, and the players must now vote for a second time to figure out the Mafia's true identities. The timer begins to count down like before, and a mysterious man known as Constantine claims that he knows who the Mafias are. It's quickly revealed that the man actually has a mutation in his brain that allows him to see the future, and he uses the ability to work as a crisis consultant for large companies. Constantine tells the people that Peter is the real Mafia, as he was the one who killed Mr. Butcher to avenge Mary's death. Although the logic seems to make sense, the people have trouble believing the words of a stranger, but to their surprise, Peter actually agrees with the accusation. The people begin laughing at the man's foolishness, but Peter quickly reveals that Constantine's identity is Mafia as well. This causes everyone to start voting for them both at the same time, but Peter eventually takes the majority as the prime suspect. The man laughs quietly and tells the players that they made a mistake, as he reveals that he's also nothing more than a civilian, while Constantine smirks in victory. Very soon, the chair begins to bring the man into the air, but Peter is very happy that he can finally join the woman that he loved. The black sphere eventually brings the man into a vast ocean, where Peter wakes up inside a small vessel that's surrounded by water. He tries to paddle his way out from the situation, but the creator sees this and quickly punctures a hole inside the man's boat, which causes water to flood in. What's even worse, numerous sharks begin to appear inside the ocean and surrounding the man with nowhere to run. Peter realizes that he's not going to make it on land and decides to gamble by using the broken paddle to stab the sea creatures. This manages to injure the animal and causing it to bleed inside the water, which begins attracting all the other sharks towards the blood. The creatures quickly devour the victim by ripping it into pieces, while Peter takes the chance and jumps into the water as he tries desperately to swim away. When the man is close to approaching the island, he quickly realizes that all the lands are disappearing right in front of him. Very soon, the sharks have all finished eating their prey and begins rushing towards the human in great numbers. Realizing that he's about to be killed, Peter begins to see the woman that he loves so much before being devoured by the giant sharks. Because the players failed to find the Mafia after 3 civilians have died, the game allows the people to cast their votes one more time before the night. A middle-aged man called Walter begins to speak first, and it's quickly revealed that he's actually a high-ranking officer in the army with numerous battle experiences. However, he quickly became psychologically unstable after losing all his men in the battlefield, which he believes that he's the only one to blame. Walter begins talking down towards the criminals sitting beside him as he despises the people who disobeys the law, but Ivan continues telling everyone that he's actually innocent. Their conversation is quickly interrupted by a woman called Larissa, who thinks that the officer is a bully, which causes the soldier to reveal Ivan's true crime. It turns out that the young man was a new graduate who was celebrating alongside his friends, but they carelessly crashed their vehicle into the walls. Ivan was able to survive alongside the driver, but 2 of their friends were killed inside the car during the explosion, which eventually brought them into the courtroom. Unfortunately, all the witnesses claimed that Ivan was the one driving that night, which caused him to be sentenced into prison right away. The young man desperately begs the people to believe him, while the officer begins to argue with Larissa and suspecting that both Ivan and the woman are mafias. He quickly votes for the woman as he tries to convince the others to do the same, but his erratic behaviors only makes himself look very suspicious instead. This causes all the others to vote for him as a result, and eventually sentencing the officer to die as he shouts furiously towards all the players. He shows the people that he's also another innocent civilian and tells everyone that they're going to die as well. Very soon, the giant chair begins pulling the commander into the black sphere and eventually sending him into his worst nightmare. Walter is put into a reality where he's commanding all his soldiers, but the men are quickly ambushed by the enemies and killed one by one, eventually leaving him as the only survivor. The officer rushes out to face the opponents by himself as he tries to save his men, but is forced to witness the carnage that is caused by his incompetence. Before Walter has any time to mourn, he's quickly surrounded by the enemies in the building and eventually killed by the bullets just like his friends. After the officer's death, the time has come for the Mafia to choose another victim as the night falls upon the city, while the people wait hopelessly for the results. When the lights eventually come back, the announcer tells the people that the Mafia has chosen Larissa as the next person to be killed, but the woman doesn't seem to be afraid. It turns out that Larissa used to be a fabulous wife who has a great husband, but she slowly destroyed everything when she started drinking by herself. Her habits eventually ended her marriage by making her family abandon her, which caused her to stay inside her own apartment for many years. This all ended when one day she drove on the highway and saw an accident happen in front of her own eyes, where she managed to save a young man who turns out to be Ivan. However, Larissa reveals that she was also responsible for destroying the boy's life, as she was given a lot of money to falsely accuse Ivan as being the driver. She apologizes to the young man for causing him so much pain, but surprisingly, Ivan eventually decides to forgive her despite what she did. Very soon, the chair begins to bring the woman towards the Black Sphere as it prepares to send her into a nightmare as well. Lisa is brought into the sky as she wakes up in an airplane all by herself, but quickly realizes that the aircraft is heading directly towards a massive storm. The clouds begin to grow tentacles like it's somehow alive, eventually destroying the airplane's engines and causing it to fall towards the hurricane. The flight attendant tells Larissa to not worry, but is quickly pulled away by the winds that ripped open the entire plane and causing everyone to panic. The clouds eventually surrounds the people like a bunch of demons as they begin to twist the aircraft and shredding it into pieces while killing everyone who's inside. After Larissa is dead, only 6 players are remaining, and the people still haven't found any of the Mafias yet. Kiro thinks that the suspect is obviously Ivan, as he must have recognized Larissa from the beginning and killed her for his own vengeance. A young woman called Katia disagrees and thinks that it could also be Konstantin, as he told everyone to vote for Peter in the beginning, who turned out to be a civilian. Surprisingly, instead of arguing, Konstantin only tells the woman one of his prophecies, where she needs to go towards the triangular shape when she has nowhere else to run. Very soon, the voting quickly begins and the people's opinions are split between Ivan and Konstantin, which makes it unable to determine a majority. However, what the people didn't expect was for Konstantin to vote for himself in the end, which shocks all the players into disbelief, including the creator as well. This forces him to reveal that he is actually one of the Mafias in the game before being brought towards the giant black sphere just like the previous victims. Konstantin is put into a dark stairway as he eventually finds a bunch of mirrors on the wall and is shocked to see himself becoming old very quickly. This causes him to cough continuously and fall onto the ground as he slowly dies from the process of aging, but the man doesn't seem to be afraid. He tells everyone that this was part of his plan as he successfully changed the course of the game from its original destiny. He claims that the creator will eventually lose because of what he did, as the players will destroy the existence of the game in the future. Konstantin eventually dies on the ground, but the announcer pays no attention to the man's threats as he begins the next round, where the Mafia gets to kill another civilian. When the lights come back inside the building, the announcer reveals there's only 4 players left, which means that they cannot afford any more mistakes in the voting process, but everyone seems to be more confused than ever before. Ilya accuses Kiro of working together with Katia, as the two seems to be overly familiar with each other, causing him to think that they're actually lovers. It turns out that they do know each other from before the game, as they met in a bar before all this happened, but Kiro refused the assumption that they're conspiring together. With this confirmation, Luca believes that their fates are all in the hands of the couple now, but Katia is unable to make any decision as to who they should kill next. Very soon, the timer quickly runs out and the game is forced to choose a victim randomly, which turns out to be Katia herself, but she reveals that she's also just a civilian. The woman apologizes for failing all the players as she gets brought into the air, but Kiro manages to break out in the last moment as he desperately grabs onto the woman's chair. This causes them both to be brought into the black sphere, as the creator watches in curiosity, since this has never happened before in the previous games. The two are quickly moved into a mysterious location location where the man regains consciousness and realizes that they're standing on nothing but glass. He tells the woman to not be
many
afraid
friends
and
does he
begins
have?
walking towards her, but quickly sees that the entire floor is cracking from underneath. Realizing that time is running out, the man immediately runs towards the girl as the ground begins shattering into pieces right under his feet. Hiro is able to reach the woman just in time, but they're forced to jump in the last moment and fall into the abyss. When the man eventually wakes up, he's surprised to see that they're still alive, but finds out that they're completely lost. However, the people soon notice the triangle that Constantine talked about and realizes that it must be the only way out. The two continue venturing towards the rocks as they make it inside the valley, but the man quickly notices that something is wrong as numerous tentacles begin to surround them. This causes the people to run immediately as they try desperately to evade the monsters. The two eventually makes it through the rocks and entering into a large field where the boss music begins to play and a giant monster made from lava starts crawling out towards them. Hiro tells the girl to hide immediately as he rushes in to face off his worst fear and causing the monster to attack the man repeatedly by using its claws. Luckily, Hiro is able to dodge the enemy just in time and quickly notices that the creature has a weakness for sunlight, which evaporates the monster's skin. The man is able to conjure up a plan as he sees the necklace on the enemy's head, which causes him to run towards the monster immediately as he climbs onto the creature's arm. Hiro jumps in and grabs onto the necklace before falling onto the ground while the creature launches in to attack him furiously. The man takes the chance and reflects the light towards the monster, which is quickly able to bring down the creature by burning its body and turning it into dust. He takes the necklace and puts it onto the mechanism, which completes the puzzle on the wall, causing them to be consumed by a giant tornado that eventually brings them towards the creator. On the other side, the announcement tells the audiences that the game is over, as the killer is still alive when there's only one civilian left, meaning that the Mafia has won. However, this is not the true ending for Hiro and Katia, as the creator explains that this was all part of his plan. He purposely allowed the man to escape from his chair to allow the impossible to happen inside the game, as the people have become tired of the same outcomes inside the show. He also reveals that their bodies are still inside the Black Sphere and allows them to live on this one time, but warns the people that he will always be the one who controls the game. Sometimes later, Ilya is able to go home to his family as he quickly reveals that he was the Mafia in the end, which allows him to leave $1 billion for his loved ones before he dies. What the people don't realize is that Constantine was right about changing the history, as Hiro plans to enter the game once again so that he can finally stop the show that uses human lives as entertainment. So what do you guys think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my videos, please press like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.
Are you making video?
It is, isn't it? The last time I was here, I walked away defeated. This time, things will be different. Let's get to work. The undersea trench that separates Inazu.
Hello? Today we'll be talking about a science fiction film called Crocodile Island. Be ready for some spoilers ahead. In the year of 1945, a couple of soldiers are flying home after winning the Second World War, but they quickly realize that something is wrong as they head inside the Bermuda Triangle. Very soon, all their equipment begin to malfunction as they see numerous giant creatures flying their way and crashing into their aircraft. The man
Done. Yeah.
are forced to jump out immediately and use their parachutes to break the fall just in time. When one of the soldiers finally makes it onto the island, he quickly realizes that they're not alone as he watches his friend. A massive crocodile jumps out from the water and devours the other pilot in a single bite, before leaving the soldiers stranded on the island that's filled by monsters. Many years later, a commercial airplane is also passing by the Bermuda Triangle, but the passengers are completely oblivious about the dangers that they're in. The main character, Hao, is a single father who's traveling along with his teenage daughter, Lin, and is obviously unhappy about her new boyfriend, whose name is Chan. The father demands to know how long they have been together, but is only responded by resentment from his daughter, giving him no other choice but to stare at the boyfriend in anger. Before their arguments continue, the entire plane begins to shake violently and causing all the passengers to panic in fear as they try to put on the oxygen mask. Things become even worse as the pilots realize that their equipments are failing, giving them no other choice but to slowly bring down the airplane towards the nearby island. Before the aircraft is able to reach the bottom, the people soon notice numerous gigantic birds flying their way and causing tremendous damage towards the engines. This causes the airplane to quickly drop towards the ocean, while the pilots try desperately to maintain control, but the aircraft is ripped open violently. The people are sucked outside by the pressure difference as Hao tries to make it towards his daughter and eventually managing to secure himself onto the seat. The airplane crashes into the water as the entire vessel is drifting on the ocean, but the pilots quickly realize that something is wrong as they're heading directly towards the rocks. The aircraft slams into the island, which breaks the plane into pieces, while the passengers are tossed away like ragdolls, which causes everyone to pass out. When Hao eventually regains consciousness, he's able to rescue his daughter and bring her onto land, where they realize that only a handful of people were able to survive. The passengers quickly find out that they're stranded on the island, giving them no other choice but to gather all the resources that they can. However, the people quickly realize that there's barely any drinkable water left, and all their phones appear to have no signals in the area. Realizing that they're not going to last very long on the beach, Hao has decided to venture into the forest where he may find more resources for the people to survive. The main character goes into the jungle alongside his daughter's boyfriend Chen, and very soon they manage to locate a small building that's surrounded by trees. The people are able to find weapons inside the shed, and most importantly, they discovered a notebook that appears to be written by a soldier from the Second World War. Luckily, one of their traveling companion is a professor who knows English, but the man quickly finds out from the journal that the island is filled by giant monsters. This causes them to head back towards the beach immediately as they try to warn their friends about the danger that they're in. On the other side, a survivor called Fan begins fighting a woman for the only bottle of drinkable water in the area. Luckily, the man's despicable actions are quickly stopped by another person called Lee, who punches the aggressor right in the face. Their fight continues onto the water as a flight attendant tries to stop the violence while no one else offers to help. Lee's pregnant wife Jia sees this and tries to stop her husband, eventually managing to pull the man away from the conflict. Before the squabble continues, people quickly realize that something is coming their way as the flight attendant is attacked by a crocodile inside the ocean. Everyone sees this and begins running away immediately, while numerous reptiles climb onto the beach and starts devouring the humans who are too slow to escape. When Hao eventually manages to return from the forest, the people are shocked to see that everyone has left the area and leaving nothing but footprints of the crocodiles behind. Hao thinks that their friends must be still alive, which causes them to chase after the survivors immediately. At the same time, the people are continuously being pursued by the animals who devours anyone that was left behind. The survivors are eventually split into groups as they escape towards different directions, and Lin is able to make it towards a clearing alongside the husband and his pregnant wife. Very soon, they're able to find fresh water, which allows the group to recover from thirst, but Lee begins hearing noises that are coming towards them from inside the forest. Luckily, the survivors survivors quickly realize that it's only the main character and his group, which finally allows them to reunite once again. However, before they can celebrate, the father begins noticing vibrations within the area, causing all the people to freeze in fear as they hear the noises getting louder. What the survivors don't realize is that a giant crocodile was hiding right behind the rocks this whole time, and the creature begins to show itself as it towers over all the humans. The monster approaches the nearby victim while staring at the person in anger and causing the man's bladder to malfunction in front of everyone. The people watch helplessly as the human is swallowed by the giant creature and causing the survivors to run immediately as they try desperately to escape. The massive reptile charges furiously towards the people and jumping directly at the main character, but Hao manages to dodge the attack by the skin of his teeth. The monster quickly turns the attention towards a woman who's stuck between the rocks and devouring her into its massive jaws. The people are able to escape from the area just in time as they're able to lose the creature temporarily, and Hao brings the survivors towards the building that he found earlier. The man suggests to everyone that they should camp here for the night, while telling Chen that they need to guard the area from the hostile creatures. The next morning, while everyone is still asleep, Hao decides to gather some fruits for the people so that his daughter will have something to eat when she wakes up. On the other side, Fang was able to survive alongside a woman whose name is Lychee, but she seems to care more about getting famous than not becoming the monster's buffet. The girl quickly shows that she's nothing but dead weight, as she managed to cover herself inside a bunch of sticky liquids. Lychee demands that Fan help her clean off the fluids immediately, but the man seems to prefer the dirty look more than anything else. What they don't realize is that the liquids are actually from the eggs of giant spiders. At the same time, Lin finally wakes up from her slumber as she tries to go outside to look for her father, but quickly notices that they're surrounded by giant insects inside the fog. They try to wake up the others quietly so they can avoid becoming the monster's prey, and the people have no choice but to slowly walk out from the building while evading the creatures. However, their plan quickly fails when a survivor discovers a bunch of sticky liquids on his head and is immediately killed by the giant insect. The people sees this and realizes that the other monsters are moving towards them as well, which forces them to run away desperately as the creatures chase them closely behind. The commotion eventually alerts Hao, causing the man to rush back immediately after hearing the screams. The survivors continue running away from the giant spiders as they sprint across the forest, but they're quickly stopped by the massive creature who's about to devour its prey. The monster begins stabbing at the humans by using its giant legs, but luckily the professor is able to distract the creature and saving the people in the last moment. This causes the monster to chase after the man immediately as he lures the giant spider away from the others. Before the people can take a break, they quickly realize that more enemies are heading their way, forcing them to run deeper into the forest once again. The survivors try desperately to shake off the incoming enemies and eventually manages to lose the creatures while they hide inside the plants, hoping that the spiders will leave. To their surprise, the people begin hearing footsteps heading their way and soon finds out that it's the main character who notices all the monsters in the area. This causes Hao to yell towards the creatures as he tries to lure the spiders away, making all the monsters chase after him and giving the others a chance to escape. The man quickly runs back to the wood building where he finds the professor hiding there for shelter as well, but what they don't realize is that the monster is waiting to ambush them. The two tries to wait until the coast is clear, but is quickly attacked by the monster from above, while the main character tries desperately to fight for their lives. However, the professor is mortally wounded and quickly dies as a result, leaving Hao all by himself while the giant creature continues attacking him from the roof. The man is proven to be no match for the creature as he gets knocked into the walls, and the monster quickly tries dragging him back to finish the kill. Luckily, Hao is able to break free and runs away from the creature before tossing his grenade at the enemy and blowing the monster into pieces. On the other side, the remaining survivors manage to escape from the area and eventually runs into a small river that they have to cross. Before the people can make it to the other side, they're quickly attacked by a crocodile that stuns everyone in fear. The boyfriend tries to attack the animal but appears to have forgotten how to walk, and giving the creature a perfect chance to devour him. character right away, but Hao is able to dodge the attack while the creature drops into the water and eventually leaving as a result. The main character goes towards the others as he reunites with his daughter, and they finally embrace each other while the father promises that everything will be okay from now on. At the same time, the girl with the sticky liquids has finally found a source of fresh water alongside Fang. They quickly begin quenching their thirst while the girl starts washing herself like she's in one of those Japanese movies not made for children. While trying her best to look delicious for the audiences, the girl suddenly hears a splash from behind her and realizes that they're not alone inside the water. Before the woman can get out, she's quickly confronted by Fang, who wants to have some aggressive cuddling inside the lake. However, he's immediately rejected by the girl, which eventually gives him performance issues as a result. Just when the two are about to get out, the woman feels something inside the water as the crocodile grabs onto her and causing her to drag onto the man as well. This causes Fang to kick the girl repeatedly like she's full of diseases and allowing the woman to be quickly devoured by the massive reptile. On the other side, the survivors continue venturing across the forest, and to their surprise, the people are able to find a crashed airplane that likely belonged to the dead soldiers. They try to look for any working equipment that they can use, eventually finding a machine gun and a radio that's still functional. Lin takes the chance and calls for help immediately, and finally giving the people some hope that they can still survive this journey. Everyone decides to head towards but they quickly run into another survivor who turns out to be Fang.
Alright, like
Although the
we will.
people
I will
obviously
almost
trust
have
the
to go.
man, they have no
Oh my
choice
god!
but to let him pass along, as Hao warns Fang to stay away from his daughter. The group eventually makes it towards a large river that they have to cross once again. The pregnant woman is not able to swim in her condition. The team is forced to help the wife build a simple raft, as Hao volunteers to swim across the water so that he can pull her across the river. The main character is eventually able to make it towards the other side, as all the survivors begin swimming across the water as well. Everything seems to be going according to plan, but Hao quickly realizes that something is terribly wrong as the giant crocodile appears onto the surface. The people begin to panic as they swim desperately for their lives, while the massive creature continues charging towards them. Lin is able to make it across with her boyfriend, while Fan begins swimming the other way, but the husband is still inside the water as he tries to push the wife across the river. Seeing that they have no chance to escape, the husband pushes the woman away as he sacrifices himself right in front of everyone and gets devoured by the giant creature. This causes Gia to scream in tears while the crocodile turns around to prey on the humans once again. Hao begins shooting the machine gun at the creature and giving the others a chance to run, while the animal chases them closely behind. The people are able to make it into a clearing as Hao tries holding the monster back by using his gun, but is forced to jump away in the last moment. The giant reptile continues chasing the others as they split into groups, but Fan eventually falls down as he begins having performance issues.
不要好了。
Lin sees this and runs back immediately to help the man, but Fan only uses the chance to throw the girl towards the crocodile and leaving her to die. This causes the monster to chase after the girl as it approaches Lin from behind and planning to devour its victim. Luckily, Hao is able to distract the
Oh
creature
my.
just in time by shooting
Just-
continuously at
Just
the
die and let me win, nerdy.
animal's attention and allowing his daughter to run away. The barrage of bullets are able to eventually damage the monster by piercing its skin, but accidentally hits Fang as well and paralyzing his legs. The creature sees the injured man and rushes towards him immediately, but also manages to grab onto Lin by using its tail. The monster
Alright, boys.
approaches from
Time to
behind the
win.
human, but Fang suddenly gets a heart attack from all the stress, which causes him to fall onto the ground. This allows the creature to charge in and swallows the human right away, as Hao follows the monster to rescue his daughter. Very soon, the knife falls upon the land, and the man is eventually able to track the creature into a cave, where he rushes in alongside the remaining survivors. They carefully tread into the large tunnel and soon realizes that the giant crocodile is sleeping inside the rocks. Chen tells the woman to go back to the entrance, but before Gia is able to leave, she quickly sees the body of her husband, which causes her to fall into tears. This puts the people's lives in danger as it nearly wakes up the giant monster, but luckily the woman is able to calm down just in time. Hao continues moving forwards to look for his daughter as they carefully avoid the massive animal, and the father is eventually able to find the girl who's amazingly still alive. The man tries to get his daughter out immediately, but before they can leave the area, Chen notices that the creature has disappeared and realizes that it's right behind him. Hao sees that they're in serious trouble as the young man is frozen like a statue from the fear, giving the main character no other choice but to fire at the monster to save everyone else. The boyfriend takes the chance and rushes towards Lin, while carrying the girl away from the cave as they try to escape from the area. The monster eventually turns towards Hao as the man rushes deeper into the unknown while luring the animal away. The father tries turning into the corners and hiding inside the smaller tunnels to lose the massive creature, while Chen is able to bring his girlfriend towards the entrance. He hands Lin over to Jia and immediately decides to go back to help as he rushes towards the monster while holding his weapons. At the same time, the main character is running out of pieces behind as the creature nearly kills the man from behind. This forces Hao to run desperately for his life and eventually jumping into a small entrance while shooting continuously at the giant crocodile. However, the bullets are not very effective as the man quickly runs out of ammo at the worst time, and he realizes that he dropped his grenade right behind the massive creature. Chen eventually makes it back to help as well, and the father tells the young man to find the grenade immediately before the
Oh my
monster
god, just let me win. God damn it.
rushes towards the rocks as he looks for the weapon like a madman, but is quickly able to find the bomb. He runs towards the animal immediately and throws the axe towards the creature, while getting the monster's attention and luring it away. This gives Hao a chance to escape as the young man is chased by the massive beast, but Chen quickly unpins the grenade and throws it towards the monster. This unleashes a huge explosion that shakes the entire cave and causing tremendous damage towards the giant creature, which apparently kills it as a result. Hao sees this and goes back towards the opening, while finally giving his approval towards the young man for being so courageous. However, before the people can leave, they quickly realize that the animal is still alive. This causes Hao to grab the knife and roll down into the rocks, while the crocodile rushes towards the man and getting sliced open from underneath. The attack eventually kills the giant monster as it falls down for the last time, and Chen rushes over immediately to pull out his friend from under the creature. Luckily, Hao was able to survive the battle, which allows them to leave the cave in one piece as they're finally reunited with the others. The survivors are eventually able to leave the dangerous forest as they head towards the beach while the sun is rising, and numerous helicopters can be seen heading for their rescue. So what do you guys think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below, and if you like my videos, please press like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.
Bro, can y'all just let me win? Oh, thank you guys for watching. That's it, I'm out.